bought a thing, and my wife is cross because it was expensive. But it's raining outside. It's not a great day for riding, so I thought I would just explain it and my rationale and see if I can live with it, because it's very, very interesting. So this is the thing I bought, right? It's an airbag system. It's an Alpinestars Tech Air 5 airbag system. It's basically a jacket. It has canisters, gas canisters that inflate as soon as you come off your bike and you have an accident, and apparently provide like 90% extra protection over and above CE2 or CE1 level protection. So like 10 times better in terms of impact resistance. So it's difficult to argue with it. It's been around for 20 years. They've started off with the racing mode on the track, and they've produced this a couple of years ago. They produced a few more models that are potentially better, but this is the one I chose after trying it on and trying various different ones. So I just wanted to explain why. It's expensive. My wife is not happy. I explained to her that if I come off my bike, I am 10 times less likely to die. Not sure if that's true, but the impact to your body is like 90% less. So under certain conditions, this can save your life. And with it all work, let me just turn it on. So it's now on, and the light will go on in a few seconds. I'm now enabled with an airbag system that will cover my chest, my shoulders, my back, and provide huge amounts of protection if you come off your bike and you hit something hard. And yeah, that's why I wanted it. It was a bit of an impulse buy. I'm not sure why. I'm the type of guy that I like to play it safe. I know that motorcycling is a risky sport. It's dangerous. Everyone tells me this. My family tells me all the time. But I love it so much, and I find so much positive in it, that it seems like this risk-reward ratio has worked. But if there's anything I can do to make myself safer, to reduce injuries, I'm going to take it, even if it costs money. And that's why I've opted for something like this. It's the type of thing that if you can afford it and if you get it, you have that protection if you come off your bike. Nothing will stop you from being killed if that's what's going to happen, right? I mean, if you go under a truck's tire at 100 k's an hour, you're finished. However, if you fall off the bike at 80 k's an hour or 100 k's an hour and you hit the deck hard, you may not break something. You may not dislocate your shoulder. You may not crack your shoulder blade. You may come off and walk away, and there's enough people that have said that this is the truth and this is how it works for me to have confidence that this is something worth investing in, even though it was expensive. And it was expensive. This cost $1,000 US, and so I think it cost me 1,500 thereabouts New Zealand dollars. So, you know, is this better than padding and armor? Yes, 9 times better. Is it a good thing to buy? Only if you're going to wear it. And if there's anything that'll stop me from wearing it, it's not going to be worth the money. I bought a Revit off-road underlay thing. I'll just stand by. Okay, I bought this thing from Revit. It basically is this without the airbags. It's their, I don't know what the name is, you can look it up. It's one of these, all right? It's got all the armor. It's got really, really good armor in your elbows and your shoulder and your back, although I've taken it all out. And my theory was that I could put this thing underneath everything that I was wearing as a jacket. So I take out all the armor off my jacket. And why would I do that? Honestly, my elbows and my shoulders, they don't always line up exactly where I want them to. They're not all CE2. And I thought, well, what I could do is I could just use an underlay like this, and then take all the armor out of all of my jackets and just wear this, right? So that was the theory. And so I bought it. It was expensive as well. I bought it, so you put it on. It's got really nice armor. Okay, it feels strong as, and it's comprehensive, and it's not going to move. It's got chest armor as well, which I was quite keen on. And so this is what it looks like. Put it on and go ride, and boom. Boom. Okay, so there we go. And now I look like a DC comic character, right, with all my armor. And I just put everything else on top, and I am protected. And to some extent, this is actually quite a good solution. It makes a lot of sense. The only problem was it felt quite big and bulky. I've taken out the shoulders. I must have used them on one of my other jackets. The back is gone, so it feels quite comfortable now. But with all of the armor in, it's quite a lot of bulk. It's quite heavy. And yeah, I think its primary use case is for off-road. So you wear it or for motocross, right? You put a vest on. This is underneath. This gives you all the protection. Your vest gives you, the airflow, and off you go, right? Through the forests or wherever. But if I want to put this underneath a leather jacket, or I want to put this underneath any of my other canvas and textile jackets and go for a tour, it feels a little cumbersome. I'm not convinced I gave it enough chance. I kind of gave up on it too early. It became just a little bulky. So when I started thinking about an airbag, I was worried that I would have this problem. However, the benefits of an airbag system are so good that it makes you pause for thought. I kind of think that airbag systems in our jackets are going to become like seat belts 30, 40 years ago. They were a pain. Now your car beeps and won't let you ride or whatever without it, and you just put it on and drive. I kind of think this might be the same. So when I got it, my primary thing was, am I going to wear this every day? And I've given it enough of a chance to be able to answer that, and I'll explain it to you a little bit later. Is this something realistic to wear summer and winter? Every single time I ride. It's another layer. It's also bulky. It's got a big backrest, a back protector. Is it worth the money? What are you doing here? You're making a noise. Go away. Why are you even here in the garage? Dumb thing. Go. Shoo. 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 So the short answer is yes. And I think I've figured out why. You see, I tried to wear this thing from Revit every time I rode, and it became a pain. It was a barrier to riding, and that made me honestly transfer some of the nice armor into my other jackets, which kind of defeated the purpose of it. However, the reason why this is not a barrier, and why every time I ride, I now put it on. This is my daily rider. I will never ride without it. And the reason why is because the difference between the other underlay armor system, and the protection I get from my jackets, if they are good jackets, I don't think there's a big difference. I think that there might be some movement in the armor, and that armor has got the front-facing armor, which is great. But the difference is probably not substantial. And I'm adding a lot of effort, and I'm adding a lot of bulk and heat, and not getting a lot of additional. Because in order for me to wear that, I have to take out all the armor on all of my jackets. And I've got quite a few now. And so the cost-benefit didn't quite stack up. But with the airbag, I'm getting 10 times more protection. That's a lot. That is a lot to consider. Just go do your research. Don't listen to me. Go look at the different airbags. Go look at what they offer. Look at the algorithms that are built into them, and make your own decision. But if I put this on, I know I'm getting 10 times more protection than I'm getting from anything else. So what I've had to do is I've had to take out the armor from all of my jackets. So take this one as an example. I quite like this one. I wear it quite a lot with my Cafe Racer and my Harley. I've taken out the shoulders. No, I've left the shoulders in actually. I've taken out the back armor, and I put CE2 in all my jackets just as a sort of like a default. With this, there's nothing on the shoulder. Okay, there's nothing on the elbow. There's no elbow. All right. So the protection you get is all front, up here, your elbows, sorry, your shoulders, your chest, and your back, and it pops up quite well to support your neck in a helmet as well. So on any given jacket, the only thing you have to take out is the back. You can keep everything else in. And when I popped it all on, it was actually quite comfortable. I hardly felt that I had this on because effectively it just felt like I had a back protector on, right? And so that's quite cool. However, there was a problem. And the problem is that you need 4 centimeters. What's that? 2.5 inches, 2 inches, less than 2 inches, I'm sure. Inches. But I need 4 centimeters on either side in order for this to inflate correctly if it has to go off. So I needed all of my jackets to have 4 centimeters, and they don't all have 4 centimeters. So while I was there having it fitted, I was quite surprised at how loose the over jacket had to be. And I ended up buying an Alpinestars, which is built for this. It has the airbag system readiness. It's built in. This is I can't remember the name of it. I can tell you now. It's a Proton, an Alpinestars Proton. Okay, it's kind of like half leather, and then it's got canvas and breathable canvas in certain areas. It's kind of like a multi-season, but it fits me nicely. It fits me quite comfortably, and I feel like it's a normal leather jacket. However, it's got built-in areas where it expands and poofs out when the airbag gets deployed, so it doesn't constrain the airbag. Whereas if I was using any other jacket, and I had various fitted by Motormail, and we tried different types, anything that wasn't like this, the jacket felt quite big and quite loose. And although that's fine because the airbag will do the rest, it felt weird because I've always been told have quite tight fitting jackets. You don't want too much movement within them. So psychologically, I decided to actually fork out the money and buy an Alpinestars jacket that's designed for this airbag system. But when I got home, I had to decide, well, what do I do now with my other jackets? Can my other jackets actually cope with it? So this one can. This is actually a very nice jacket. It's by Lifestyle Imports in Waiuku, I think. And it fits quite well. I have quite a lot of coverage underneath, so I feel confident that I can wear this without the back protector with the airbag system. It gets a bit more complicated with the other jackets. So I've got this cool one, which I really like. I've even had some custom patches put on it. It's a Risha. I don't know whether this will be okay. I might have to sell this because I don't know that I get the 4 fingers or the 4 centimeters on all sides. So that's a bit disappointing. So I might have to flick that on. If you want it, let me know. I've got this jacket, which was also just a standard leather jacket. It's very tight fitting because that's what I thought. There's no ways that this can go underneath this. So I have to sell that. And it's not old, it's quite new. I have a Motor Dry Adventure jacket. It's actually, this is a very nice system, by the way. I'm really impressed with it. It's an inexpensive adventure jacket. I haven't worn it in a while, and however, it fits quite loosely, and I think it'll be fine. If I ever go adventuring on a GS again, then this will be fine. So I'm keeping this. My Revit summer jacket, there's no chance. Absolutely no chance. This thing is like super tight. There's no ways I'll have 4 centimeters. So this has to be sold. I have not tested this one yet. Okay, it's just a standard RJ's. It's nothing fancy. It's really basic. It's kind of like the jacket I got when I started learning to ride. I'll have to check and see what my weight is like versus what it does. I haven't actually put it on. The chances are I will probably have to flick it on as well. So just bear it in mind. If you buy one of these and you have multiple jackets like I do, it's not just the cost of the jacket, of the airbag. You're now going to have to start paying for new jackets as well in order for the system to work. So that's a consideration. Um, I keep telling my wife there's no price for safety. And even if I do, come off and the worst happens, at least they can say, well, he tried, right? And I've got my racing jacket here. And to be honest, although this is there's a racing mode, I would never wear a racing jacket with it. There's just no space. So either I'm going to wear the jacket on its own and go racing, or you buy the Alpinestars system for racing jackets. I think that's just how it is. Spend the money. And that's it, basically. The only question that's left is, why did I choose this versus the other options that are out there? Dainese have one. Obviously, Alpinestars have other versions, like the off-road version. There's a Tech Air 3, Tech Air 7, Tech Air 10, I think. Why this particular one? And also Helite. Helite have these ones that they have both under jacket and over jacket. They're very famous for their over jacket ones, and they look like they provide quite a lot of protection, and they are replaceable, so you can maintain them yourselves, where this one you can't. So there were a couple of reasons why I opted for this one and not the Helite, which we can go through next. Okay, so in summary, why did I choose this particular model? I looked at the Helite system. It's less expensive, which I thought was cool, but it's not that much less expensive, which is interesting. And Alpinestars are promoting their algorithm. They've been using this algorithm for 20 years or more, and they have a lot of confidence and a lot of miles underneath them to make sure the airbag doesn't inflate at the wrong time. And listening to it and doing some research and reading about it, I have quite a lot of confidence in that algorithm. It really looks very good. Helite have been around. I don't think they have quite the same pedigree in algorithm and experience and hours. I might be wrong. That's just the impression I get. So go do your own research. But there were some positives to it which made me seriously consider it. First of all, look, they had under and over. And the over one looked quite good because it goes over here and it really does good protection on your helmet if it inflates. And then you can just replace the canisters. They're just little gas canisters. The type of canisters, honestly, they look like the ones you inflate your tires with. And that was quite compelling. However, the ones that were tethered, and you get two types, right? You get tethered where you attach it to your bike, and you get untethered, which has got the algorithm, which means you can not attach yourself to the bike. The tethered version I wasn't interested in, and the untethered version, like this, which is based on sensors and gyroscopes and all sorts of things that happen when you don't have to worry about being attached to the bike, which means the low side it will still inflate, where on a tethered one you may not be departing the bike, and so you may not get inflation. There wasn't enough price differential for me to go. I'd rather go with Helite. The Alpinestars was not that much more, and I got all of that experience, knowledge, technology, which made it compelling for me. So that's why it was Alpinestars. The second thing was the under or over. So Alpinestars have over and under, right? I looked at the over one. I think it's the 3. Can't remember. I quite like to hide my vest underneath my jacket. Call me vain or shallow, but I quite like looking cool when I'm riding. And there's this element of uncoolness when you have an airbag on top of your jacket. So I don't think that contributes to safety at all. I think you can choose either or. So that was just my choice. Then there was there were racing models, which I didn't need because I'm a road rider primarily. And there was obviously the algorithm version, and then there was, which is for road, and then there was this off-road version. Now the off-road version really was my first choice. I'll put a link up to what it looks like, or a picture hereabouts. And that was actually what I was going for. And when I went in to go and have a trial fit, I started with the off-road version. It's very pretty. And it reminds me of the Revit armor underlay sort of suit. When I put it on, it felt like the Revit suit. There were heavy elbows, shoulders, the back, the front. and it went right down to the bottom of your wrist. And here's an interesting thing. For me, that felt quite like a lot of work to get in. It's strange. The fact that this one doesn't have elbows, and you just slip it on like a vest, and your arms are free, and you can put yourself into your jacket, it just felt much easier. Which is why I went for it. Forget the price difference. There's a big price difference. The off-road one I think is like 1,800, 1,900 New Zealand dollars versus 1,400 or 1,500. So there was quite a big jump in price between the two of them. But that was not the reason I chose this one over the off-road one. If you are off-roading a lot, that's the one for you, because the algorithm has been adjusted for slow movement, and you fall or you hit a tree. Whereas on-road has a different sort of algorithm. But that wasn't the factor, because the off-road one has an on-road algorithm too. It primarily came to how bulky it felt when I put it on. And even if I took all the armor out of all of my jackets, the elbows, the shoulders, everything, it still felt like more work to put on. And it felt like this might be a barrier. Where this, it's just like, chink, done. Now I'm looking for my jacket, and I don't even know that it's on. And it's funnier, but the fact that it doesn't do my elbows, it doesn't go down my arm, it doesn't make putting on the wrists area of a jacket tight and having to unzip and make that work, or going through your thumb, it just makes it feel so much easier and quicker to put on. And the fact that it's got this really nice magnetized zip is actually quite cool. So whilst my first choice was the off-road one, when I went and I had them trial fitted at Motormail, I put on both. I tried a variety of jackets on both. This one just felt easier. And so I knew this would not be a barrier to day-to-day use. And that's my primary criteria. But there are downsides to it. And I've maybe pulled the trigger too early. And if you're considering buying one and you're maybe 6 months to a year away from buying one, you may want to wait. And that is, the downsides here are quite significant in comparison to the newer ones that are coming out. Primarily, well, there's mainly two things. One is you can replace the canisters on the newer ones. So if your off-road one, the canister goes off, you have an inflation, you can switch over to the other one and you have two. And then when those two have gone, you can unscrew them and you can get more and you can screw them in yourself, and ta-da, you're back on the road, which is quite compelling. I didn't look at the cost of those canisters, but I'm assuming it's less than what this one provides. So this one, if the bag goes off, you have to send it back to Alpinestars. Now, fortunately, in New Zealand, there's a number of distributors who do this, so service centers, so that's fine. I'm assuming in wherever you are, the same applies, and they have got a lot better. I was promised 1 week from handing it in to getting it back serviced. But it's not cheap, it's expensive. You know, it's like a quarter of the price of the whole system just to get it redone. Maybe a fifth is, no, a quarter. It's a quarter of the price. So that's quite expensive, but I'm not planning on deploying it very often, right? So if I deploy it, I'm assuming I've saved thousands and thousands of dollars of hospital bills or time off work, or death. So that's a big factor, and it's annoying because I would imagine that there's a new one coming in a year's time that's going to have a self-adjust or self-maintainable canister. So I'm pretty sure it's coming. I've gone early on it. The other thing that's irritating is the on-off switch. So let me show you how this works. So the newer one, like the off-road one, has a power switch on the back. So when you're charging it, next to the charger, you can go on or off. And so when you're storing it and you're traveling and you're walking around and you accidentally drop it, it's off. It's not going to deploy. Where this one, it may. So the way in which the lights come on and deploy, if you want to zoom up a little bit, okay, as soon as you let these two things touch, so if I move the zip up and let them touch, okay, all of a sudden the lights come on, right? And it's going through its checklist to make sure that it's got enough init power, blah, 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 and then as soon as it goes green, it's enabled. It only takes a few seconds, and by that stage, you haven't even warmed up your bike. However, if you're hanging it up, at the end of the day on your rack, you know, you can like sort of hang it up like that, and this is not so bad, but sometimes it kind of like hangs up and does that. Or even if it goes underneath like that, say, all right? If it's underneath, you'll see the light will come on. I will make it come on. There we go. The lights come on, it's underneath. So if these two things are close to each other, you could accidentally turn it on. And if it then falls off the rack onto the floor, it may deploy, who knows. But more importantly, it reduces the battery. So it's starting to drain the battery. Now it comes with like a 30-hour battery life, which is pretty impressive. You know, that's quite a long time of riding. You have to be riding, you know, 6 hours a day, 5 days a week before it runs out. Or the entire day, every day for 3 days before you have to charge it. It only takes a couple of hours to charge as well. So that's not a big problem, and that's why it didn't bother me totally. But it would be really nice if there was an on-off switch. So when I hung it on my, and it's happened to me on one occasion, it was hanging up. I'd moved some other jackets around, and I'd come to this one, and it was on. And I was like, eesh. So it would be nice if there was an on-off switch like the off-road one has. But other than those two things, I had no complaints. It's easy to put on. It's quick. I hardly know it's there. Put on my usual jackets without their backpack, and I'm good to go. And I have made the commitment to myself that this will be worn every single time I ride from now on. Let's see if that follows through. I'll do another review maybe in 3 months or 6 months. If that's stopped, you know, caveat emptor, just be careful. But at the moment, my feeling is this is a bloody good thing to invest in if you can. Cheers.